Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Welcome, everyone, to City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party. I'm Philip Gilfus, your host of the week. I'm joined, as always, by Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Gentlemen, how's been your Star Trek week? We took last week off, so you had an extra week to do Star Trek stuff. So what did you get up to?
I learned how to sing.
Oh,
British guitar is a soaring soul.
And do you look fantastic in a dress?
Let me tell you. Yes, I do. In fact, looks. Hey, we got a lot. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but I just want to bring up the fact that to be in what's called Mission Chicago, right? That's going on right now.
Yep, Star Trek Mission Chicago.
We got another new Star Trek video game announcement. There's a Prodigy video game coming out. So This is 2 new Star Trek video games. I'm thrilled beyond belief. You know, it's probably going to be something.
We're definitely going to get that. My kids love Prodigy.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be cutesy and fun and stuff. Really what's going on right now, Darren, in the gaming world is the Skywalker Saga, the Lego Skywalker Saga.
That's right.
People are going nuts for it, man. People are loving on it. So
I'm excited for the Skywalker Saga only because I heard there's a mode you can enable, which is the mumble mode. And it basically, because in the very first version of this game, they don't talk. They just go like, and it's all like pantomime. And it makes the jokes like 10 times funnier. And then, in the more modern games, it's like the whole movie quoted, like line for line, which is great. But I'm like, I kind of miss my mumble mode. So I'm glad that is an option.
I didn't know they put that in there, but it was until Lego Batman 2, I think. Everything before that, all the Lego Indiana Jones, it was all that sort of... And it was, like you say, it was great. It was really fun. And then they just started really ripping out lines from the movies and putting them in. So it's definitely a little more interesting to do it that way. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad they gave the option. I think I'm sure it costs nothing to really add that in, but there's a lot of people who that's what they love most about the old game. And so having that, but the videos I'm seeing where they're comparing, like, here's this shot from the first version of this scene, and here's this shot, and it looks like did you have any money when you made this first game? Because it's like a low poly wall of like gray in, like, let's say, for example, the 10.5, the opening scene. And then in the new one, it's like realistic shading detail, like everywhere. And you're like, wow, okay, this game, it's like you really rebuilt this game from scratch, and it looks amazing. So.
And there was actually not a lot of news, but there was a fair amount of new stuff that came out of Chicago. But we're going to save that for another time, because we could probably talk about it all week. You got Star Trek teaser for Lower Decks, got some art and costumes and perhaps character spoilers for Strange New Worlds, but blah, 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 all stuff to talk about. But Darren, comparing old versus new is actually what we're going to be talking about today. And when it comes to comparing new version of movies, their updates, their additions, they're changing one digital thing every other year, we have an expert for that, and that is Drew Stewart. Drew, welcome.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I did not know that this would be what I was going to be known for.
You're like, I like Star Wars and I like Star Trek, and suddenly, for the past, I don't even know how long, 5, 6, 7 years it's been.
10.
10. Wow. So I'll let you introduce yourself. I don't want to introduce in my own words, but you have, I think 3 Twitter handles, maybe even more than that. But I think of course, we knew you as a former Star Trek podcaster, but I think I first knew we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about Star Trek, the motion picture and the new release and all that. But kind of going backwards, Star Wars is how I got to know you and your, calling it a rant, I think downgrades it, but I respectfully think of it as a rant. Like, I respect what that is. I don't know if it was in Wired magazine.
It was Wired, yeah.
Yeah. You online, you have your I think you have many things about Star Wars, but one thing that you're passionate about, I think, about all things, is that they've never released. And I'm going to say this wrong, probably. They've never released the theatrical version. But anyway, you tell me your Star Wars mission that you've been on for the past decade.
Okay, you said you'd give me 10 minutes. So I'm
kidding.
Yeah, the idea is that
I'll give you as long as it was as the shuttle pod flew to the Enterprise. That is the length of time you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, darn, I don't know. I don't have that count exactly. I can pull it up. I did count how many frames they cut for the director's edition. That's so important right now. Yeah, so Star Wars and Star Trek have always been my passions. When the 2004 versions of the special editions, because there's different versions, came out, they released a what has changed log. Like just pictures of like, here's what it looked like in 1977. Here's what it looks like now. Doesn't it look so much better? But it was like 300 pixels wide and you couldn't see anything. So once I started getting involved in the fan edit community, I was like, I want to make like higher resolution versions. And so somebody gave me somebody had already synced the original version with the 2004 DVD. And so I went through and found every little change, I thought it was going to be really easy. I'll just remake these 100 or so pictures and we'll be fine. 200, 300 pictures later, I'm like, oh, there's a lot more changes than I thought. Now, when did these changes happen? So then I started like downloading other versions of the movies, and then the Blu-ray came out and it had additional changes. And then finally everything came to a head. I decided to start a Twitter account, thankfully, because I didn't think enough people were appreciating my decades worth of work that I'd put into this thing. So I was like, I'll start tweeting them out.
What's the handle?
And, that's Star Wars VizComp. And so I started tweeting them out, started getting ILM people who worked on the movie, on the special editions, actually like following me and correcting me. That was all neat. And then November 2019, Disney Plus launched, and I happened to have been awake. My dog was sick at the time at 2:00 in the morning, and I was just like, I'll just check it. And I pull it up, and the Fox logo comes up, and it's like, they brought the Fox logo back. Great. Because they removed it in 2015. And I was like, that's great. I tweeted, it's all fine. It's just the Blu-ray. Go back to bed. And then somebody was like, check the Greedo scene. And I was like, please, no. No. And so I checked the Greedo scene, and sure enough, before they shoot, Han and Greedo shoot at each other, Greedo yells, McClunky. And then I became famous. Because unfortunately, I didn't coin the phrase McClunky. I wish that I had, because I have a stuffed Greedo here that says McClunky. Like I could have been famous, even more famous. But I just tweeted, oh my God, this is not a joke. And people picked it up. Like, some people are super upset about this.
And am I right? Because again, I'm not a star. These two guys can start firing questions. I don't know anything about. But am I right that there's never been a theatrical release? They
did in the the closest we got was the 2006 bonus disc. So they gave you the DVD, buy the DVD version again, and here as a bonus disc, we'll give you the Laserdisc, the 1993 Laserdisc Master burned to a DVD with digital noise reduction just smeared all over it. And also you get, ironically, Lego Star Wars demo on it. Like, the disc had so much space on it because it was just a Laserdisc Master that they had enough room to put an Xbox. You put it in your Xbox and you could play Lego Star Wars, which is embarrassing and sad. And it's not even anamorphic. So, like, if you watch it on your TV, you got black boxes all the way around. And it's an embarrassment. And it was nominated for Best Picture, won for Best Visual Effects. I saw the Oscar in LA over the weekend. Like, it's a legitimate piece of film history. And, the highest resolution you can legally buy it at, which has been out of print for a decade, is 480i, and cropped from that. And it's embarrassing.
That's like how there's like the black market 1040 version out there, the way you're talking about. But anyway, psst, you want high resolution theatrical release? All right, Daniel, Darren, any Star Wars questions? Get it out of your system now.
Oh, where to begin?
All right, so I hear no. Okay, so what we're talking about is so Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I'm probably not even going to introduce this correctly, but as folks know, on Paramount Plus in the recent week, and then coming soon to hard media, 4K, they released Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This is the director's cut.
No,
it's not. Isn't it? Okay, sorry.
The director's edition.
Director's edition. No, because okay, so go back. I'm not an expert. I know Drew is, so I'll let him talk here. But I know the difference between the director's cut, because it is better. I mean, if you're gonna, story wise, visual wise, I'm not an expert. But anyway, so the director's edition, because I noticed there are further changes, but which we'll get into. But so like, because we had this discussion when we talked about the motion picture a couple of months ago about what edition we were talking and which ones on was on Paramount Plus at that point. Because I think I was watching my hard disk, which was still the director's cut. But anyway,
edition.
But even the old version is called director's edition.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, so I was just getting the name wrong. But anyway, okay. So I watched it. I don't. Darren, I think, watched it, and then Daniel's like, I've seen the motion picture. What's there to see? So,
ouch.
Yes.
Is it, I mean, you tell me. Did they make it good? Is this new version worth watching? Because
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yes,
there's a deep, dark history. We are like 20 minutes away from beginning to talk about the director's edition.
Because I've seen two and a half.
First one.
I've seen 2.5 versions of the movie, and I'm still waiting for a good version. So I don't. I know I'm my hot takes. I know. I'm just kidding. But it is an investment to watch the motion picture. So,
it's true. It's true.
I just you have to be in the right mindset. That's all I'm saying.
Well, when they last released it, which I feel like it was a year and a half ago. I don't know what that was.
It was a year ago, yeah.
Okay, it was. Because I remember they put it in the theaters again, and I saw that, which I think I saw Star Trek 4 once. But anyway, I think it was one of the few Star Trek original series movies I've seen on the big screen. And I mean, I know it's so tropish to say it, but I'll say it. It belongs on the big screen.
It does.
So, it's the pacing doesn't get any better, but you can kind of let it wash over you a little bit more when you're watching the big screen. And I think one thing I never got watching it on the small screen, maybe because I was just falling asleep, was that, midway through the movie, when they're moving through V'ger, which you could say is the whole movie, but I never know, and this is going to be hard because I'm doing this with my hands on an audio medium, I can never tell the Enterprise actually goes up and over V'ger and then down. I just thought it was going straight the whole time, and I never didn't appreciate it until you see the visual of what it was doing.
Would it kill us for one wide establishing shot of where we are in this planet?
And then, of course, I think the hot thing, I mean, the biggest difference I noticed watching this new version, and I'll let others talk here, is you actually do see how do I say this? V'ger without the cloud, the real V'ger. I mean, I know it's not, Voyager is the probe, but you get to see the actual ship. I think twice. I counted it. What that kind of looks like, which I think is funny because I can't tell if it's a changed graphic or not. You see it on the tactical screen of the Enterprise visual screen that kind of looks like a cog. And you just think that's a throwaway. But like, no, that's a profile. Exactly. Which I never got. I think I'd seen like artist rendering, but I never had seen it until
like
version.
The Eagle Moss came out. Like, many people didn't know what V'ger looked like because I think because you see the cloud evaporate and then it's like that's it's gone.
They never made a full model because it was so detailed. I think I read like the entire. Like they had to build it in sections for all the close-ups of it flying over.
Not until Spaceball 1 did we get a highly detailed large model of that caliber.
What they did was like they built 15-foot sections, but they're like 4 15-foot sections. So they never like built a 60-foot long model of it. So you never actually see the whole shape of it until the director's edition, the 2001, which is what the Eaglemoss model is based on, is the model, the CG model that they built for the director's edition, because you never saw the whole thing in the original cut.
So, Drew, for this edition, you got Daniel over here. You need to sell it to him. What did they bring this year in 2022? What? I don't know why they did it. But what did they do? What's the
make money?
Well, I mean,
No, now,
yeah. Well, you're still paying for Paramount. I'm not paying anything extra. But anyway.
So the story is that Star Trek: The Motion Picture was unfinished. Like, what happened was that they pre-sold the movie to theaters. Paramount said, hey, December 7th, you're going to have a Star Trek movie, no matter what. And so by the time that they'd hired Robert Wise to direct the movie, they were already over budget and behind schedule. So he had to come in and try to right this ship that had been, you've all heard the story. It was going to be phase 2, and then they built the sets for the series, and then they brought in movie cameras and were like, we need to rebuild these sets again. So they rebuilt the sets and refurnished the sets a couple times. And then they hire a commercial visual effects director to do all the visual effects. And after an entire year, he had delivered none shots. None. So at the beginning of 1979, they had to fire him and then bring in Doug Trumbull and John Dykstra, who worked on 2001 and Star Wars, to finish the movie. And Gene Roddenberry is sitting there rewriting the script. Gene Roddenberry, he was involved, and they kept trying to Paramount kept trying to push him out, and then he'd sneak back in. And Harold Livingston's trying to write the script, and he keeps quitting, and they keep rehiring him because they keep butting heads about what the movie is. There would be scripts, each script would have the time of day that it had last been updated, so that they were literally all on the same page, because it was being rewritten so often. And then they still had to keep to this December 7th date, no matter what. So Jerry Goldsmith started scoring the movie and then had to take a couple-month break because he ran out of finished shots for him to actually score to. And then they brought him back, and he had to re-record some stuff. And
did we mention it's December 7th, 1980? Did we mention that?
1979. And this is September 1979.
I wish they could have pushed it. Theaters, we didn't actually mean this year. We meant next year.
So they were mastering the movie until literally the day before the premiere. Robert Wise had to go to the film print, wherever they print film, and grab the last reel wet and go on a plane with it. No one had ever seen the entire movie until the premiere, December 6th, 1979. And it's overly long.
One of the things I thought was interesting is because I was telling I was watching the Sinner's Heat documentary, and they did a whole episode on the motion picture, which I think they could have just done a whole documentary movie. Because the way I'm you guys can keep going. I'll give you another hour because it's just chaos on the bridge. But I thought what you were talking about with Livingston and the script, which, and I mean, I'm not trying to shade him, but the thing of he was saying Roddenberry turned his script in, and it was a piece of blank, and then I'm like, I mean, Livingston, yours is good. It's not great, and so right. I mean, I'm God, what was Roddenberry's version looking like then, so
I mean, you can read the novelization, which is written solely by Gene Roddenberry.
Yes,
and that's when when they stopped. I don't know if they mentioned it in Center Seat, but when they stopped fighting was when Roddenberry got the rights to write the novelization on his own. And in the introduction, which is written by Captain Kirk, Admiral Kirk, it's this is the true account of what happened on that mission. And there may be other audio and visual ways to see it, but this is the true account of what happened.
So petty.
It's amazing.
See, now I think there's a perfect argument what you can get to when someone's talking about canon. Like, well, it's in the movie, but this one's written by Gene Roddenberry. So which one's real? Which one's real?
Literally dictated this.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, Drew. But yeah.
So the movie that came out didn't have finished sound. Like, there's a lot of production audio. Like, you can hear their footsteps on the wooden bridge floor, like creaking. There's a lot of, what they did for editing, because they didn't know what visual effects shots were going to come in. They had dialogue to describe what the visual effects were showing. Just in case the visual effects didn't actually show that. So, and then they had a lot of
telling the actors, that's on the screen, look at it for 5 minutes.
Right. But like having a computer voice say, we're flying over the thing and here's how to do this. And there was a lot of like hand holding of the audience that I'm not sure who advocated for, but there's a lot of computer voices like, the probe is super hot, and it is 97 degrees, 97, 96, 95 degrees. Like, counting down how hot the ILEA probe is, which, physically hot. Like,
I just noticed that when I was watching this new version. I was like, I didn't remember that part. But anyway, yeah.
Well, no. See, that's a difference between the theatrical and the director's edition and the new director's edition.
New edition.
Yes. So that's the way it was. It was it was unfinished. Like, you can literally, if you cut out all of the reaction shots of like flying over V'ger and stuff, it's seamless. The special effects are seamless. Every single frame of visual effects that they made and finished is visible in the movie. Every single frame. It needs a lot of pacing help, which is what the director's edition tried to do. But first, in 1983, ABC decided, we're going to do Sunday Night Movie, ABC. We'll show Star Trek the motion picture. It doesn't really fill a whole block because it's only 2 hours and 12 minutes long. We need it to be 2.5 hours long. So they didn't want to cut things out of it. So I don't know who. It wasn't Robert Wise, but somebody added in a bunch of deleted scenes. Like, a lot of scenes that were cut because the visual effects were more important to Paramount than the actual story beats. So they cut a lot of the story beats and left them on the cutting room floor. Well, the ABC version brought back a lot of these character beats, but didn't cut any of the visual effects beats. So it just made it even longer. And they call it the special longer version. And it was the only thing available on home video from like 1985 to 2001, I think, till the director's edition. So like a lot of people, that's what they grew up with. When they think of Star Trek the Motion Picture, they think of the special longer version, which has unfinished visual effects shots. Like, it has complete references to other things that weren't undeleted. Like, it's a mess. And so the whole thing just needed to be rebuilt from scratch, which is what happened in 2001, is that the special edition came out. Star Wars, the special edition came out. And David Fine and his team saw the special edition and was just like, they continued to fix a movie that was already finished. What would happen if Robert Wise, who we've been working with on all these bonus features, actually got to finish the motion picture? So they went to Robert Wise.
Oh, sorry. One thing, because you're mentioning the special edition, I have this, since Philip talked about like watching it like on the television, it makes me think of that trailer that came out for the special edition. And now I'm picturing just the Enterprise on a little screen for an entire generation.
Oh, God.
The only way you've seen the Enterprise. And then it's like, and then instead of the blasting and the fanfare, and then it's just bigger and slower of like flying around the ship now.
Oh no, do I need to make that?
You need to make that. And then all the Star Trek fans are like, oh my gosh.
We've made the shuttle pod scene twice as long. Yes! Woo!
But
he's going over the ship, under the ship.
That is one of my favorite trailers. Like just that visual difference of the small television and the muted, semi-muted sound, and then it blows into like the full screen.
If you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
Exactly, same thing, but instead it's like just blowing up on the flight of the Enterprise.
Man, I wish they'd done that for the trailer. Oh, goodness.
Even though it was just a few years later, I mean, because like I think 97 was because it's the anniversary year and that's when it came out. I'm like, yeah, you know what, Star Trek, just do it. Just totally rip off this trailer and just, I mean, we're all going to know.
Do it, Paramount. It's fine. Make it even more obvious why you greenlit Star Trek the Motion Picture 2 years after Star Wars.
You know, Drew, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but when I was watching the new edition, that's silly to call it that, watching the new edition, because there were some elements of, and I get that I'm watching on a laptop, and maybe the 4K on a 4K will be better than me watching it on my laptop. But there were some elements that I'm like, okay, these things are going to pop like now because they've done everything. But and this is a little thing, but there's the Voyager cloud, and I can't remember, and this is not going to help me saying this. I can't remember if it's the beginning or the end, but it's like the actual like Voyager cloud still looks cloudy, like blurred. Like I thought that was like 1979. That's as good as we could do. And I was like, now in 4K, it's going to be like crisper. I mean, like it'll still be a cloud, but like I'm like, oh, it's okay.
I think they like projected the actual like laser stuff in a cloud. Mm-hmm. Like it's, you know, a bunch of laser lights going back and forth really fast and then them overexposing the film. I think like that's what it looks like. Also, I think it looks like, and I've only lined up the comparisons for the latest version with the other ones. It looks like a lot of that wasn't able to be recomposited. There is one that I can tell is recomposited, and I don't know if anybody else can. Yeah, and it looks great.
Oh, okay. You have to tell me which one you're talking. But there's one scene that is the opposite. It's I mean, it's on the bridge. I know that's like half the movie, but it was. I think it's Kirk because it's a close up of Kirk, and you know, so the background is I don't know if he's talking to someone on the turbo lift, Ilea or Spock or something, and it's a close up of him. But like this part of the screen for those audio, it's on the left side. It's like blurred, like. I'm like, what the heck happened?
It's probably a
that's the split diopter.
It's a diopter shot.
Okay, because it's like this. It's like we 4K'd this, and it's like I don't know. We didn't have anything.
No. Yeah. That's the split diopter thing, which is a way of actually putting a physical piece of glass in front of the physical piece of glass of the lens in order to focus on two separate points without like just shooting it flat and wide, which would have like. Is not cinematic. Yeah, Robert Wise loved him. I think I saw somebody complain there was like 178 split diopter shots in motion picture. So Dave Fine and his team eventually convinced Robert Wise, let's go back to the movie. Let's like actually edit Star Trek the Motion Picture. And so he agreed, and they started work. They got a scan, I think, of the special longer version, and then like cut from that. And what they did was they just edited it. I learned a lot about editing just trying to line up the theatrical version with the director's edition, because there's just like the scene where Spock transmit now. There's a half second in the theatrical version where Spock is just standing there and then he turns around. Like, you don't notice, like, when you're watching it, that Spock's just staring ahead at the screen. Like, he's not working on anything. He's just staring ahead at the screen, and then he turns to push the button. Well, in the director's edition, him staring at the screen for half a second is gone. And, like, that, just little tweaks like that. Like, do we need to watch Uhura push 2 buttons when she could just be pushing 1 button? Or like, do we need to watch Sulu blink twice staring at the cloud? Or can he only blink once? So there's a lot of like edits that just trim it down just by, you know, a half a second here, an eighth of a second there, a 24th of a second here. But it all adds up to like actually flow like a movie. There's one shot that's in the theatrical that's not in the director's edition. when they're about to take off from space dock, and you can see all the actors holding perfectly still.
Oh wait,
and then they start moving, like a second later. Like they put the entire take in and didn't cut where somebody said action. So it's just them waiting for somebody to say action, and then they all start moving. And like, so that shot's just gone because one, it didn't add anything to the movie, and two, it's not edited. The movie was not edited. So like there's entire like 8 seconds gone here from, flying over V'ger, and 2 seconds gone here, like big cuts. But it also adds in a lot of the character moments that the special longer version added that the original version didn't have, including Spock weeping for V'ger, which is arguably like the heart of the movie.
Not for us.
Not for us. No, for V'ger. I weep for V'ger as I would for a brother. Like, that's good stuff, and that's why Nimoy
really
never liked the direct
cloud brother.
Yes.
Clouds.
Well, like a sister. Well, never mind.
Ooh, we don't bring that up. Oh, we don't talk about.
Oh, well, we bring up the brother. Oh, come on now.
Well, he's more like a half brother.
half brother, adopted sister.
You're not allowed to talk about the family. You're just not allowed to talk about it.
I love Cloud V'ger more than I. It's too easy. Too easy.
But they added beats like that back in, beats that Nimoy missed. Like when he saw the theatrical, he was like the first one out the door. Like in the interviews after the premiere, he's just like, "That was garbage. They cut out all my good stuff.
If I ever do a movie again, I'm killing myself." Right.
I'm going to kill myself when they call me back. And then I'm only going to come back if they let me make it. So yeah. And then they also redid all of the audio. So like I said, there was production audio. There's no bridge sounds in the theatrical version. You just sit on the bridge and they all just kind of talk to each other, and there's just dead silence behind them. There's no news or engine sounds or anything. And so they went through and added some of that kind of stuff. And they took away all the computer voices.
I guess, guys, it's a problem. Yay.
But did you
telling us the ship can't handle it. She's coming apart.
This the Voyager blinky thing is coming closer to our blinky thing.
But then, they also cut out most of the computer voices saying things like,
100
red alert, intruder alert. And they could just say, hey, there's an intruder. Just have some human say it, which is what Wise really wanted, was more of a human element. The most interesting thing is the stuff that they cut from Kirk. There's like the point of the movie is that, or my takeaway from the movie is that Kirk is incomplete without the Enterprise and without McCoy and without Spock. And so it's him being lost and confused until he gets to that point. But in the theatrical cut, he's angry. Like, he's yelling at people, he's snapping at people, he's yelling at Uhura. These people know their jobs. Right.
You're pushing.
Which him pushing is fine, but it's just like him when Epsilon 9 disappears and he says viewer off, and then Uhura stands there. And then he says viewer off, and Uhura, then rushes over to do it. Like, Uhura doesn't know her job. And like, Kirk's yelling at people in front of literally the entire crew. Like, that's unnecessary. Like, that's not Kirk. Like, that's maybe what they filmed, but like, trim that out. And so they trimmed out a lot of that stuff.
Only in retrospect are we glad he's being mean at Decker. But at the time,
no,
we were upset.
yeah. I don't think so. I mean, well, I haven't seen the new, but yeah, he comes off terrible in that, like, awful. He's a terrible person in the whole episode. So I'll have to watch it. The one, but
yeah, the thing is, you have to put out of your mind, like, because you'll still imagine him yelling at everybody because you've watched the original version. So it's kind of like, that was a nice rough cut, a bonus disc, if you will, like if you like it, you can watch it over here, but like this is the edit. This is what the movie should be.
No, belay that order to yell at me.
So
then you edit it appropriately, of course.
So it seems. So I guess I have a question for you, Drew, because to me it seems like this whole conversation, chatting, the process that Star Wars went through to iterate and change and evolve their film.
Open Pandora's box of editing, as some say.
And then versus the process that the motion picture, it seems to be the opposite direction. That one of them is good and one of them is bad. And is there any what is the idea behind, like, why is it okay for Star Trek to do it, or is it doing it better than Star Wars did? And go ahead.
Right. So for me, Star Wars is taking the Academy Award winner for editing and re-editing it to make it better for one guy who was one of the 4 editors, but was not one of them that won the Academy Award. It's taking what was perfect and adding more, as I point out in my Wired article, it just is a test bed for the next movies, instead of like shooting a short film and then being like, can we put dinosaurs in the background? He's like, why don't I take the movie I already have and just put dinosaurs in the background? And then Fox will pay me to do it.
He didn't stop to think if he should.
Exactly.
Well, and because again, we've already allotted our Star Wars time. But like, I remember reading an article, and again,
I didn't agree to a Star Wars allotment in this podcast. What are you talking about?
But I can't think of an example. But like, there was stuff where you would show changes. I don't even know which movie it was, but it'd be like, it's not like it's necessarily making it better, and in some cases, it's making it worse. And like, this antenna or this ship is now this ship, and it's like, well, why?
Well, like for example,
of more stuff on the screen. And
the Sebulba creature walking down the stairs in Return of the Jedi that was added for the 2011 Blu-ray. No one asked for that. That is not fixing a continuity error. It's not, because he disappears. And in that scene, the entire palace is asleep. That's the point of that shot, is that everybody's asleep except for the Sebulba. What is, like, it's just to see if he could. Can I add a Sebulba walking down the stairs? Absolutely, I can. Well, then we'll keep going. And so this is finishing a movie that nobody liked. Even the actors didn't like, the director didn't like, the editor didn't like, the scriptwriters didn't like. And it's finishing it after 20 years. And what's great, and the part that is excusable for me, is that you just bought the motion picture. It just came out in 4K last year. It's right there. Like, it's treated as the director's edition. It's not treated as, this is the motion picture now. But I grew up with the special longer version. Well, sorry, too bad. That's not finished. Like, that's not the way that Robert Wise wanted it to be. So you can't ever watch it again. You can't watch the special longer version. That's not important right now. But like,
it's going in the Disney vault.
Right. The idea is that Paramount doesn't put things in the vault. They are just like, hey, there's 2 versions of motion picture. I mean, look at the box set, the 4K box set. It's got 2 versions of the Wrath of Khan. Like, all the versions are there. The director can come back and say, this one's better, but the version that you like is still there.
Wait. So you're telling me there's a possibility Shatner's like, you know what, Star Trek 5, I didn't think my vision was complete.
Here's the thing with Star Trek 5. Now you're going to get me in a
Why'd you open the Star Trek 5
Blockbusters. We can do that now. We have the technology.
The thing is, people are imagining that there is like they accidentally, like, oops, and dropped all of the good scenes on the floor. Like, they didn't film a good movie in there.
No,
like, there's no...
The best story I heard from Center Seat documentary, and again, I don't like Shatner, so I'm never going to say anything good, but I'm sure he's a fine person. But anyway, it was fun. I forget who the talking head was, but it was like, they said Shatner went into the editing, came out, and was like, done. And they're like, what? And they had to like what? I think I don't know if I'm probably getting the story wrong, but I think like they re-edited it after him because they're like, no, it's not.
I was going to follow up with this just because, like, why is it that the motion picture is deserving of this sort of process? Like,
everything's deserving of this process.
Okay.
If you want to, if Francis Ford Coppola wants to re-edit Godfather 3, great. And you know what? You can buy every other version of Godfather 3 right along with it. You can do whatever you want as long as the originals are still out there. Ridley Scott hates the theatrical version of Blade Runner, but it's still there. He hates it, but it's still available.
I just feel like it's, as in terms like from a fan perspective, it's diminishing returns. Like for someone like me who didn't like the original version of the motion picture, did not like the director's edition of the motion picture. I'm not gonna. There's no like you say, Star Trek 5.
This time,
I'm not gonna get like it's like no, it's just like the movie was not great in the beginning, and you're just polishing a turd, right? And so I just like in my mind, it's like you said, like they could re-edit Star Trek 5, I guess, and maybe there is something or not something or whatever, but like how many times can you do that, and then when do people stop caring?
As many times as you want, and as much as they don't subscribe to Paramount Plus to watch the new version of the director's edition. I mean, that's the dividing line here now. Is that Paramount now literally has metrics of how many people are watching and how long are they watching and how are they subscribing and what else are they watching. And
I'll piggyback on that a little bit because and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying something I noticed. So like as much as, and I don't know who the people are, whether I'm saying Paramount or, CBS or formerly Viacom, whatever. I don't even know who I'm talking. But like, the TOS fixation, we got the Kelvinverse and then we got Discovery because we had to be in the TOS era, and then we had to get Strange New Worlds and then we're always just in the TOS era. Like that's what we're fixed on. And again, I don't know, I'm saying we is, but then with the motion picture, like that has gotten the most revisits. And is it just because, I'm sure there's an essay.
To be fair, there are 2 different director's cuts of Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. There's been a director's edition and a director's cut. Those are different.
Okay.
So it's like, 2's getting just as many revisits. There are 3, 4 versions of Star Trek 6. Like it's just Star Trek, really.
Okay.
Like
I don't feel like I've gotten that many releases on because Daniel, it seems like in the past, 3 years, there's been this sort of renaissance of Star Trek the Motion Picture, which look, if you like it, that's fine. But I'm just like, that one? Really? Okay. There's like 5 others, but but
if they want to take boring Star Trek movies and kind of re-edit them to make them a little better.
Oh, Nemesis?
Where's our Insurrection? Where's our Insurrection Director's Edition? Why can't they spruce that up?
Sure. Let's get Frakes in on it. Let's do it. That I can get behind. Star Trek 5, no, but like get Frakes back in there now that he's had a lot more directing experience. They can film stuff while they're doing Picard, and then like the next season of Picard, and then like digitally young everybody, and make a good version of Insurrection.
And so I'm sure there's a million things, but I guess what are the top?
Oh no, the planet's making us old for this scene. Sorry,
it's the opposite.
In this room, you will be aged 20 years, but when you leave it, you will return to your normal youthful selves.
You need to reshoot all good things. They're all the same age now.
You give them ideas. They just shot season 3. Don't give them ideas.
No, I would love that if they.
Look, we're shooting season 3. You all are here.
Yeah,
reshoot.
We've got a card table in the back.
Future time.
Let's do it. Let's just
reshoot all the future time stuff. Let's do it.
Edit it together. That would be amazing. I would love
digitally younger the In Encounter at Farpoint stuff a little bit, little tweaks here and
maybe
there.
a little. I mean, it's not like it was that long of time,
right?
But I think that would be amazing just to connect that. Oh, that would be so cool.
And as long as the original still exists, I wouldn't care.
Yeah. So, Drew, what is, and I'm sure there's a lot, but just highlight, what are the differences between the Director's Edition and the now 4K Director's Edition?
So what I've seen so far is a couple more half-second cuts to shots that don't need to be, 9 seconds long. They could be 8.5 seconds. I mean, a lot of it has to do with so when they finished the 2001 version,
I'm confused. I thought movies are supposed to be 3 hours now. Is that not right?
Well, I mean, it is longer. The director's edition is longer than the theatrical edition, but not as long as the special longer version. So when they finished 2001, the DVD in 2001, it was kind of a proof of concept. The idea was that this was going to be the negative from which you would show Star Trek from now on. This is the version of Robert Wise's vision. And Paramount said, no, this DVD will work great. Thanks. And they just took the DVD and burned it and was just like, here it is, the final version. And everybody's like, but it's like in standard definition and the scan of the film isn't that great and stuff. And, so what they basically did was use the DVD as a template for the edit and upscale everything. They took the scan, from what I can tell, they took the 4K scan that they used for last year's UHD release, and then just recolored it because they color timed the entire first movie originally in 1979 in 4 days. So it's never been color timed. It's never had a proper sound mix and all that kind of stuff. So this is the way that it should have looked all along. They also went through and did the effects that they had added in 2001 to finish bad, the Vulcan matte that's at night, even though Spock blocks his eyes from the sun.
Those statues get bigger and bigger in every edition.
Yeah. So there's a foot of a statue and moons, and he's blocking his light from the sun. And it's what sun is there in the theatrical version? So they
had no moons.
Exactly. There's a dozen moons in the motion picture.
That's how you know it's.
I think everybody was sleeping, and then Michael was in the background walking down the stairs. Didn't they have that in?
Little brother, have you culinarian?
Oh gosh! So yeah,
Sybok failed out, and now Spock. I mean, the Sarek family just does not do well in the culinary.
Yeah, they just start talking about Sybok in the subtitles.
When your brother Sybok left, we never thought we'd have another son of Sarek before.
Everybody's stuck.
Yes, that's
that
right.
is
Bob
that
Spock,
is something they did fix in the director's edition. The theatrical subtitles match what their lips are saying in English. So you can just read what their lips are saying because the original subtitles are just what they're saying. So in the director's edition, they changed the subtitles so that it's slightly different sentence structure. So it's not just yeah, it touches your half human heart, doesn't it, Spock? Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying, isn't it? So yeah, they took the DVD and they took the new master, the new scan, and they recut the movie to match that. They redid a lot of the special effects and what they were that they had done in 2001 in standard definition to create transition scenes. Some of them are transition scenes. Some of them are replacing really skewed perspective of the Enterprise. They replaced them with the CG model of the Enterprise. And they basically just finished it in ultra high definition, so that now you can now be hey, what version do you want if you're doing your repertory theater thing? Which 4K do you want? Do you want the theatrical version? Do you want the director's edition? They're all in 4K now. And, which is, what I want from Star Wars. I want people to be able to say, I want a 4K of Star Wars, and they can be, which one do you want? But that's not the case right now. I'll bring up Star Wars again. There's a couple. I haven't found them all yet, but another thing that they were able to do is the Paramount Archives were able to find the original plates, the blue screen plates of all the different passes of some of the shots. And so they were able to digitally recomposite some of the shots. And the ones that I've noticed, you notice the shot of the Enterprise leaving dry dock, where originally you could see the arm holding the model blocking out the dry dock. So they fixed that in the 2021 Blue DV, UHD. Some cleanup artist somewhere who had no business doing that, took a still image of the dry dock and then badly cut out the Enterprise so that you don't block off the dry dock. But now it blocks off parts of the Enterprise that just disappear. And the entire frame, I think, to cover up that entire shot is softer than it was on the original Blu-ray. It's just, they ruined that one shot to try to fix it when nobody asked them to fix it because it was the theatrical edition. This isn't like, wire removal or something. This is a huge blob that you've now like made jitter across the screen. It looks worse. That entire shot is recomposited now from the original 65 millimeter frame, the IMAX frame that they scanned at 8K and then like down resed to 4K. Like, so there's some shots that look perfect. And then there are other shots that they just cleaned up, they couldn't find all the elements, so they just cleaned them up a little bit.
One effect that again, it's a small thing, but I think they're all small things, but they all add up, is the end, near the end, with near the climax, with the Voyager, for lack of a better word, torpedoes, whatever that you want to call them, surrounding the Earth. Because I think, I don't even know which version I'm talking about, but anyway, in the older versions, like I think you saw them, but having seen the plasma torpedoes, whatever you want to call them, earlier, it just looked like that, just going crazy. And I think the story only got told from the Enterprise tactical view screen.
Yes,
which, I mean, you got the concept of they're Voyager shooting these things that are surrounding the Earth, but now you get that as well as actually seeing them, curving around the Earth and surrounding it. I mean, breaking apart. And you can actually sort of see it and get the more.
Yeah, there's one shot of the painting of the Earth with like blinking things coming above it, and then the rest of it is view screen stuff. But they added, like, here it is flying towards you.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing about this latest director's edition is the sound, because they also found all of the automated dialogue replacement that they'd never found before. They didn't find it in 2001. They didn't have time to actually like put them in the movie. So like they had the actors re-record their lines in the booth and then lost that tape. Well, they found the tape for this one. So there's like all the shots that were in the special longer version that they also brought back for the director's edition. They found the dialogue for all of that. So if you listen to both of them at the same time, which I'm the only person who does that, like they're different takes. Like even the former Mrs. Shatner, as the replacement navigator, has a different take. Like they brought her into the the recording booth.
I didn't know that was okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a panning shot across as they're leading up to Spock.
I didn't know who that was. That's what
right.
Saying.
Oh, yeah. But there's a panning shot that's only in the director's edition, in the special longer version, of them panning across everybody, and then it leads to Spock, who's crying. And every one of those, they found the dialogue take from the tapes. And so it's not just them on the studio set, saying their line to a microphone across the room. It's, them talking directly into the microphone. And it sounds a lot better. They also found, so what I was going to say about them taking out the computer voices. So when the Alea probe appears in the sonic shower, in the original version, there's a computer voice saying, sonic shower is at 100 degrees Celsius, 99 degrees Celsius. And then in the director's edition, there's just nothing. And then in this version, they found a take of Walter Koenig saying, the probe is in the sonic shower and it's really hot. Which is definitely the best of all of those options. And Mike Matessino
always go with the Walter option. That's what
exactly. Always go with Walter.
He kicked him out of the animated series. This is time to shine.
But yeah, Mike Matessino, who redid the sound, like added a bunch of Foley so that, when they, instead of just taking out the footsteps creaking across the wooden platforms, he banged shoes together and, like, so it actually sounds like a finished movie now. I really think that it needs to be seen as big and as loud as possible.
So the story of this movie is the story of the movie, that originally it's ready or not, Mr. Scott, this ship launches in 12 hours. And instead we're getting, Mr. Scott, I think it's time to give the Enterprise a proper shakedown.
That's the story.
Oh. All right. Well, I know there's more you could tell us about, but I mean, I know if folks want to listen more, they can. What is your Star Trek Twitter feed on these matters?
Ironically, it's Star Trek VizComp on Twitter. I'm going to, after we're done with this call, I'm going to start doing the comparison in Force. And taking screenshots, and I'll be posting them to a gallery. I think that Trek Movie is going to post some of them. And we're going to just explore the changes, the little tweaks they did here and there that I can find. Dave Fine says that there are 1,500 tweaks, visual tweaks done to the movie, whether, trimming a frame here and there, or here's a cool thing to watch out for that you'll never see unless you're watching them all side by side like I am. The monitors in the background were film flickering, because it was just 16 millimeter film that they were projecting onto a screen, behind a her or whatever. But it's like flickering because it's slightly off frame rate. It's not anymore. Like they just went and fixed all the little monitors so that they don't flicker, but all the animations still go. Like it's tiny little things. You're not supposed to be distracted. And there were a lot of things about the original that distracted you.
And I think even, again, Daniel, I know we're not going to sell you totally, but not even in the special edition, but even more so, because I know they clean up even more. But even in the director's edition that I saw last year, the first 5 minutes with the Klingons, I mean, and this is maybe just memory, it's so, like, the original movie I think is so dark. Like, even, I know Klingon ships are always dark, but you couldn't tell. It was just, you'd tell the Klingons, that was it. You couldn't see the ship or the bridge. But I think both in this edition and then what you can see now, it's like you can see.
The new scan brings a lot.
Yeah, you can really see, they're in their little game chairs, all of them, they're going around. Like, you could see what's going on in the bridge, because there's, two other, crew there or whatever. And you can actually see what their stations look like. And you can see their readouts and everything. So it's gives it a little more sense of place. Cool. All right. Daniel and Darren, I assume you will all be watching all three versions next week.
I've got a stack up. I can send you guys all three versions stacked up on top of each other, frame accurate.
No, I actually am interested really now to watch the newest version, just because I don't think I really knew that part of the story on how, you had the extra longer edition that came about from TV editing and all of that. And yeah, I'm all for watching something that's been made better. I think that's one thing that the 97 Star Wars special editions kind of missed the mark. Like you said, Drew, it was kind of a test bed for, can we do this? And you watch it and you're like, well, but here's they have a TIE fighter flying, and you can see the visual, where the blue screen ended and the matte started. They weren't actually making the whole movie better. They were just kind of changing it. And it sounds like this version for the motion picture for Star Trek is just making, if this had been the movie that came out in 79, it would have just been.
Then we really would have gotten a sequel.
If they pushed it to April 1980, Easter, or like you said, December 1980, this is the movie we would have gotten.
Oh, yes,
it wouldn't be as computer generated.
We want to go up against, the Empire Strikes Back.
Empire
right.
October.
Yeah. That's probably why Paramount was another reason. They would have been sued into non-existence had they not met the December, literally gone bankrupt had they not met that December 7th date. But yeah, you don't want to go up against Empire either.
And then I think, Daniel, you're going to basically be the McCoy of this, of like, let me tell you, Admiral Sir, they invoked a little known watching a special edition Paramount regulation.
I mean, if it bumps it up a point on a 10-point scale, I guess that's interesting enough. I don't know that it's enough to move the needle for me personally, but it's also interesting because the whole conversation that we talked about is like, I don't know, like this iterative sort of creative process over now 40 years, it seems like, is really interesting to kind of see, like to actually go back. I won't watch them side by side, spoiler, but that concept is interesting to me. We're like, wow, look how different they really, really are. But you know what? Maybe I'll check it out. And then put it on at night and I'll fall asleep. And then it'll be the same experience. Maybe motion picture is the exact same for me as it has been the entire time. But that's okay. That's fine. That's just me. So.
All right. So, Drew, what's your final word here on the special new until the new 8K comes out in 5 years edition, Star Trek: The Motion Picture?
I was fortunate enough to go to the Paramount screening last Monday before the movie came out, so I got to see it on the big screen in surround, and that's the way to experience it. Dana, if you can hold off and go see the Fathom event in May 22nd and 25th, I think. That's the way to experience it without you being able to put aside like your phone and to put aside your preconceptions of it and just to watch it and not be able to pause it and like to let the sound and the visuals wash over you. Like that's the way it should be. Like we all don't have big TV. Not everybody has big TVs and a surround sound system. So it's like,
Daniel,
theatrical experience.
Listen to Nicole Kidman, Daniel.
Yes.
You need to
or Vin Diesel. The movies.
Now, actually, here in the UK, here in the UK, the person who pimps movies while you're watching a movie, which I think is fascinating, is I'm going to say his name wrong. From the Star Wars movie, Daniel plays the Stormtrooper.
Daniel Craig?
No.
James Bond?
No. In the Star Wars, who plays the Stormtrooper character in the new Star Wars?
Finn? Finn?
John
Yes.
Boyega.
John Boyega?
Yeah,
Okay.
He does the UK movies a great part.
That's great. But no, I feel like this is the movie finished. Like this is finally, like, I didn't grow up with the motion picture because my dad called it the boring one and refused to let it into my house. And I still can't get him to watch it, but that's not important right now. It's finished. It's finally finished. And now if you think it's long and boring, that's fine. But I think that everybody should give it a try because this is what it should have been, and it's a good movie.
This is like,
it's just a good movie.
If you don't like Brussels sprouts, I'm told it's because they weren't made right. And if you taste
this is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Well, we appreciate it, Drew. Like I said, I know there's more you can share, but that's why we're going to tell everyone to go to your distinctive Twitter feeds because I know you're doing more all the time. They can sign up on your, change.org release, the theatrical release petition. I'm kidding.
I don't
that. But anyway, I appreciate it, Drew. All right. And until next week, I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Brew.
And I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.